Hey guys, Tiberius here. In previous videos, I've documented the science, technology, and history of Star Trek's mirror universe. I've even speculated about the origins of the Terran Empire, the mirror counterpart of the United Federation of Planets. But what I haven't spent quite as much time examining is the evolution of the Terran Empire after First Contact. We're of course given plenty of development for the fascistic human supremacist state in various episodes and films, and various novels, comics, and games further flesh out history in between these canon installments. In this video, I'd like to explore a timeline of the Terran Empire's expansion, demise, resurrection, and beyond, comparing how different entries in the Star Trek franchise have handled it. Let's get started. Before we go any further, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about today's sponsor, Fume. Fume is a flavored air device designed to help people quit vaping and smoking. Fume replaces your bad habit with a weighted, twisty, fidget-friendly tool, giving your hands and mouth something better to reach for when the cravings show up. It's simple, natural, and honestly kind of genius, all without any nicotine, vapor, or batteries. We all know resolutions feel easy on day 1, but then the cravings hit on day 5. Fume helps interrupt that old pattern. Just like flavored water is lighter than soda, Fume's flavors aren't as strong as vaping. For heavy users, there's crisp mint, and for those looking for a tangy flavor on the sweeter end, try raspberry. If you're ready to break your bad habits, now's a great time to try Fume. Right now, when you grab a Journey pack, you'll get a free Fume topper just for using my code OrangeRiver. The Fume topper adds a soft, replaceable, chewable mouthpiece, giving you something safe to chew when the cravings hit. Grab this offer while it's available. Head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use my code OrangeRiver to get your free Fume topper with your Journey pack today. While debates still ensue in fan circles as to how long the Terran Empire has existed, dialogue in Enterprise suggests it has been around in some form for over 200 years, even by the 22nd century. I've proposed that it could be descended from an even more imperially ambitious version of the United States. While many have attempted to explain the Terran Empire as a literal continuation of the Roman Empire, as I've explained before, this is almost certainly an oversimplification. Many empires throughout history have adopted iconography from Rome, and as even the writers have postulated, Rome never falling would be too large of a divergence. Terran history was always intended to be a rough but darker mirror of Prime Universe human history as much as possible. While Philippa Georgiou says that Terrans shed freedom, equality, and cooperation millennia ago, believing them to be destructive ideas that fuel rebellions, many believe this is hyperbole. The opening title sequence of Enterprise suggests the Age of Sail, the World Wars, and even the Cold War still happen in the mirror universe. Plausibly, this means that if a political entity called the Terran Empire exists by 1955, even if it doesn't go by the same name, it probably does not have full control over the planet. Indeed, such a feat would have been difficult for any mid-20th century power, strengthening the idea that the Empire is descended from a nation like America. But in the end, it would have been the sole beneficiary of victory in the world wars, quelling any remaining resistance. It's also likely that a version of the eugenics wars in World War III also happened in the mirror universe, although it's hard to say from canon evidence alone. Whatever the case, by the time of Star Trek, the Terran Empire undoubtedly has jurisdiction over basically the entire globe in the same way United Earth does in the Prime Universe. And just like United Earth, its early expansion beyond our planet includes conquests of the other bodies in our solar system. In 2063, First Contact begins similarly to said event in the Prime timeline, except Zefram Cochrane shoots the first Vulcan to step on Terran soil with a shotgun. He and his fellow Terrans then ransack the scout ship to Planahath, killing the first officer as well. This allows the Terrans to gain a technological advance over their Prime counterparts, as opposed to Prime humans' gradual, controlled technological progression under the Vulcans' tutelage. age. This likely leads the Empire to launch more NX-class ships faster than the Prime Starfleet, much like how the United States maintains technological superiority by outproducing other nations' military hardware such as aircraft carriers, and even the Allied fleets of World War II. By the 2150s, the Terran Empire has conquered the Vulcans as well as the Denobulans, Andorians and Enar, Orions and Tellarites, among others, and they've launched attacks against species like the Klingons, Rigelians, and Xindi. The latter has very interesting implications, suggesting a version of the temporal Cold War may have played out in the Mirror Universe, though the Empire could have been in conflict with the Xindi without the intervention of the Sphere Builders. As for the Klingons, we'll get back to them in a minute. One thing that's interesting to note is that the Mirror NX-01's crew is actually more racially diverse than its Prime counterpart, with numerous Vulcans and Tellarites serving under Captain Maximilian Forrest, as opposed to T'Pol and Phlox being the only aliens under Prime Archer's command. We also see the ISS Avenger includes Terran, Vulcan, Andorian, and Orion crew members. The Avenger, with the designation NX-09, is not confirmed to have a Prime counterpart in canon, though non-canon materials suggest one does enter into service by the time of the Romulan War. The other NX-class ships are named sequentially after NASA's space shuttles, meaning an equivalent program is likely to have existed in the Mirror Universe. In any case, the racial makeup of Mirror Starfleet ships is consistent with historical Empire's practice of incorporating conquered peoples into their militaries and other political structures to create a unified cultural identity, and it also naturally serves as a reflection of how future Starfleet in the Prime Universe approaches the integration of Federation member species into its ranks. In a way, not only is the Terran Empire of the mid-22nd century more technologically advanced, but its integration of subject species is also more advanced than the integration of Prime Starfleet of the same era. This is, of course, a consequence of the Empire's aggressive, rapid expansion made possible by the stolen Vulcan technology. But another consequence is that its hold on its territories is weak. In the Mirror Darkly already describes how some conquered worlds have begun to rebel, creating a long-running conflict that lasts for over a century. Propaganda distracts the populace from a disastrous defeat at Tau Ceti, but the commandeering of the time-displaced USS Defiant, being held in Tholian space, saves the Empire from the brink of destruction and gives them another technological leap. And a series of mutinies leads Hoshi Sato to assume the throne of Emperor. Of course, by the time of the original series episode, Mirror Mirror, the two universes appear to more or less have technological parity. This is actually fairly realistic, as even following the technological leap of First Contact, the Empire would have only had a slight edge over Prime Starfleet. Acquiring and reverse engineering mid-23rd century technology over 100 years earlier would, in effect, have brought them up to the same level as 2260's Prime Starfleet, but not guarantee massive advancement beyond that. A similar principle can be seen in the Voyager two-parter Future's End, when Henry Starling reverse engineers technology from a crash-landed 29th century Federation time ship, allowing him to capitalize on the microchip revolution of the late 20th century with his company Chronoworks Industries. But in the meantime, by 2255, the rebellion has evolved into the Coalition, primarily composed of Andorians and Tellarites, as well as Klingons and Romulans. The Klingon Empire was subjugated under Emperor Philippa Georgiou's reign, and the Romulans may have been conquered as a result of defeat in an analog of the Romulan War under Sato's reign. Georgiou's rise to power is documented in the prologue of Guardians of the Galaxy is documented in the prologue of Suicide Squad. Hold on. Is documented in the prologue of Star Trek Section 31, and her full title is Her Imperial Majesty, Mother of the Fatherland, Overlord of Vulcan, Dominus of Kronos, Regina Andor, Philippa Georgiou, Augustus Eoponius Centaurus. In addition to the obvious titles referring to conquests of alien worlds, these names point to Rome as a stylistic inspiration, with Eoponius likely being added by Sato as a reference to her Japanese heritage. Georgiou is the target of a coup attempt orchestrated by Gabriel Lorca, who wants to make the Empire great again, believing Georgiou has become too soft on aliens. Though Georgiou's flagship, the ISS Charon, is destroyed, Lorca's plot is thwarted, but Georgiou is taken to the Prime Universe by Michael Burnham. This leaves a power vacuum that is eventually filled. The Empire encounters another uprising during the time of Kirk's command of the Enterprise. Kirk destroys the homeworld of the Gorlan, quelling an uprising, and he also executes 5,000 colonists on Vega 9 and annihilates the inhabitants of Talos 4. After Kirk and some of his officers temporarily swap places with their Prime counterparts in 2267, Prime Kirk places doubt in Spock's mind about the Empire's long-term survival. Spock eventually becomes Emperor himself, instituting popular reforms that turn the Empire into a more peaceful, less aggressive power. While his ascension to the throne may imply that Vulcans have a higher status in the Empire's racial hierarchy by the 2260s, Spock being half human probably doesn't hurt either. Between these reforms and dwindling resources, the Empire leaves itself unprepared to defend against the emerging threat of an alliance between Klingons and Cardassians. This Klingon-Cardassian alliance would conquer the entire Empire, becoming the dominant power in the Alpha Quadrant. They even turn the Terrans themselves into a slave race. The alliance, however, has a much more intricate racial hierarchy than the Empire, with Bajorans becoming a powerful voice in its political structure. The Bajorans had in fact been conquered by the Empire prior to the late 23rd century, as opposed to the Prime Universe where Starfleet did not become involved in the Bajor sector until the mid-24th century. This likely also applies to the Cardassians as well, given that other rival powers in the Prime Universe, like the Klingons and Romulans, have been subjugated by the Empire too. After the uprising, Spock is assassinated, causing the ISS Enterprise crew to mutiny and escape, with the help of Mirror Saru, to the Prime Universe to seek a better life, as described in the Discovery episode Mirrors. The late 24th century would see the Terran Rebellion succeed, resulting in the restoration of the Empire and resuming many of its old ways. This stands in contrast to some non-canon works like the Star Trek novel continuity, wherein the Terran Rebellion results in the creation of the Galactic Commonwealth, a more peaceful entity like the Federation. In any case, the Empire's hubris would cause it to fall again by the 32nd century. What this timeline demonstrates, in my view, is that expansion comes at a cost. Whether through force or diplomatic negotiation, empires are empires. Arguably, part of what leads the Federation to its demise, even before the burn, is how it stretched itself to over 350 member worlds at its peak. Both have risen and fallen over the centuries. What makes the difference is that humans are in control of our own destiny, because when we work as a united species, we can accomplish great things. With that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and don't forget to share it. That stuff really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so you won't miss future uploads, and click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you want to support my work even further, you can become a patron at patreon.com/OrangeRiver, link in the description, or become a YouTube member by clicking the join button on my channel page. By becoming a patron or member, you also get access to awesome perks like behind-the-scenes photos and videos, patron and member-only polls, name in the credits, merch discounts, and more. Or you can drop a one-time super thanks or PayPal donation. All are appreciated. Links to my PayPal, as well as my social media and merch store, are in the description too. Also, just as a reminder, I do have a second channel, OrangeRiver Plus, where I've uploaded the VODs of lots of my gaming streams, with more on the way. And in addition to some other goofy one-offs and extra behind-the-scenes content, I've officially made it my second streaming platform, so be sure to subscribe there as well so you don't miss any new content. And big thanks once again to Fume for sponsoring today's video. That's all I have for this week. All hail the Empire!